Chapter 9, Temporary Protectionism, ends in 2005, and China takes off. Okay. Wait, how to do this now? The more things change, Brittany believes that the complex protectionist regime for textiles is falling apart. T-shirt industries are undergoing continuous linearization in regards to trade. Bill Clinton, one protectionist, he supported world trade over protectionism. He attempted a broad spectrum of initiatives to liberalize trade during his presidency. A couple of his initiatives include NAFTA, the Caribbean Basin Trade and Partnership Act, and the African Growth and Opportunity Act. NAFTA will remove barriers to trade and investments among the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The Caribbean Basin Trade and Partnership Act was enacted in October 2001 and expanded the list of duty-free products and offers more market access opportunities to CVTPA-eligible countries. The African Growth and Opportunity Act offers tangible incentives for African countries to continue their efforts to open their economies and build free trade markets. Basically, it's just encouraging trade between the United States and other countries. Bill Clinton was also a major player in the fight for China to join the WTO, the World Trade Organization. It's the only international body dealing with rules of trade between nations. It's kind of a regulatory system. Unlike other countries, China is not privy to the full benefits of the MFA phase-out agreement. Basically, the MFA phase-out agreement is just 4 stages of backloading, quota removal, and agreements on textile and clothing trade. Instead, quotas can be imposed on Chinese goods through the year 2008, unlike many other countries that took part in the WTO. They didn't have nearly as low quotas as China did. Walmart backs Musharraf. Directly after attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, the United States and Pakistan have become allies. In exchange for Pakistan's solid support of the United States, Pakistan would receive billions of dollars in aid, and the United States would loosen restrictions, which include tariff relief and higher quotas on textile and apparel imports. Before the attacks on the World Trade Center, the United States was very restrictive on Pakistan. Basically, they had very low quotas and high tariffs. The textile industry in Pakistan represents 60% of their business, so a majority of people in Pakistan actually take part in the textile industry. So lowering the tariffs and upping the quotas would ultimately help their country a ton. Pakistan argued that the country could better support the United States in the war on terrorism if textile mills stayed open. In order for that to happen, the U.S. had to lower the 29% tariff on clothing imports so that retailers like Walmart could purchase clothing at a less expensive price. The request for tariff relief was rejected completely. As a result of the tariff relief negotiations between the United States and Pakistan, American textile manufacturer organizations ready for a fight. American manufacturers did not want Pakistan to become a bigger player in the United States trade and textile trade. Many argue that textiles could be purchased less expensively, and others argue that the textile industry should not be made to support U.S. foreign policy. Although helping Pakistan is a noble cause, the United States shouldn't have to suffer in order to help them. A final deal was reached, which included a 2-year swing that allowed Pakistan to shift quota from one textile category to the other. So in other words, they could shift this quota from, say, linens and tablecloths to things like towels. What are the dinosaurs? The days of rampant textile and apparel protectionism and unintelligible textile barriers will soon be over. Many key players are beginning to retire or pass on. People like Strom Thurmond, who is a fighter on Capitol Hill and a key player in the U.S. textile industry since 1954, are beginning to pass on. It's not only Strom Thurmond that's beginning to grow old and pass on, it's many of the other key players as well. As a result, senators and politicians backing corporations like Walmart and JCPenney's become more powerful. They start to sit on Capitol Hill. Today, the textile industry has half as many supporters as it did in the late 1980s. Apparel retailers are replacing supporters of the textile industry. Stores such as Walmart, Sears, and JCPenney's are donating millions of dollars to federal candidates to support lowering of trade barriers. Organizations such as the American Manufacturing Trade Action Coalition combated textile retailers by forcing politicians to declare a side of the argument. Basically, they're looking for accountability. They asked some of the politicians a series of questions, which included, what is your response to open trade between America and other countries? And they're forced to declare an opinion. That way, once they're voted into office, there would be no wishy-washy, well, I said this, but I meant this. American Manufacturing Trade Coalition put a series of very specific questions on their website. There was no wiggle room at all. The questions were also posted online. They were made public so everybody could see them. Two candidates came out ahead in the race to replace Senator Fitz Hollings, Jim DeMint, who openly supported free trade, and David Beasley, who supported the protectionist position. He wanted to keep jobs here in America. Jim DeMint surprisingly won the seat, and a wash of imported textiles flowed to the United States from places such as Turkey and the Philippines. Last fight. Over the years, the United States MFA has applied high tariffs and unfair quota system to many different countries. Most of them were what you could consider poorer countries, countries with less money and less wealth. One example, tariffs of 15% or higher are almost never applied to imports from countries such as Germany and Norway, rich countries. Instead, tariffs are applied to countries such as Mongolia and Cambodia. The purpose of this specific quota system was meant to protect rich country industries by increasing tariffs and limiting imports from poor countries. So keep the powerful in power. When the quota system was lifted, smaller countries did not receive more rights to export to the United States. After this quota system that we established was eliminated, they were hoping that maybe more imports would come from these countries to the U.S. and maybe help these more poor countries out, but instead China received all quota rights. China increased U.S. import market from 24 to 84%. In addition, China's estimated to triple its market share of the U.S. Gains for China meant severe losses for everyone else. 30 million jobs are estimated to be lost in developing countries around the world and 300,000 jobs in the United States. There are a few countries that believe they have a way to combat the Chinese invasion of the United States textile imports. Countries such as Cambodia offer a socially responsible way of conducting business. Workers will not be forced to work in sweatshops and agree to monitoring by the International Labor Organization. Research proves that consumers are willing to pay higher prices for products that are not made in places like sweatshops. The United States has a reputation for trying to be socially responsible in most cases. And so what this research proves is that people want to buy products from places where their workers aren't abused or workers are treated fairly. China cannot hold up a guarantee. These are the author's words. I believe it's more China will not hold up a guarantee. Unfortunately, Cambodia is one of the many countries affected by the quota system. Many other countries have more difficulty combating China in the textile industry. Honduras is another one that believes that they can combat China in the textile industry because of the close proximity to the United States and faster shipping times.
Good job. Very good job.